everybody. My name is Cathy Livingston, and just to tell you what I do, I'm a mental health counselor, and so I do counseling therapy for young people, for teenagers and adults as well. And I think it's important you know how old I am, so you know my stage. I just turned 60 this year, and let me have Charissa introduce herself.
So my name is Charissa. I'm 35 this year. I am currently working as the youth pastor of Community of Praise Baptist Church. But prior to that, I had about 10 years of experience in the HR industry. I would imagine that some people who are listening in, they may not naturally know how to they may not have access to so accessibly people that they can kind of just invest in or spend time with. Were there practical things that you had to kind of commit to doing to get yourself to this place where, it's a lot more easy in terms of knowing that, I think at any stage of my life, I will have new friends, old friends around me. What would be your advice for people who currently are at a place where they don't really have that kind of social circle?
Yeah, and thanks for asking that. That's a very real thing, no matter how old you are, right? I mean, I think I meet with youth and, they struggle with getting friends or at least friends that know them, that they feel they can be vulnerable with. So I think a lot of it is going back to what you mentioned earlier is becoming more confident in who you are as a person. Because as you do that, you do feel more confident in building relationship. Right. And so I think that's one piece. And I guess, I think it is hard for all generations, at different stages to build relationship. Start small. I think start with what you're comfortable with. Some people are introverts, some are extroverts. I'm actually an introvert. I'm a very functional introvert, but it takes energy for me. So you've got to know yourself, know your own boundaries, what you can and can't do. And when I try and help people do this in some forms of counseling, people are trying to build community, and one thing I would say is what interests you, so for me, as a Christian, it was always wherever I would move to in my life, it was finding a church, and it was getting in a small group in church. And that is a great place to meet people and build community. For those that aren't involved in a church, find a hobby that you like, and join. There's so many different things you can join, whether it's an exercise group or whether it's a craft kind of group, and build relationship. You've just got to start somewhere. And that would be my advice. I hope,
and I guess with any form of relationship, it takes time and it takes effort to build. So I guess the encouragement is that, even if it doesn't seem to be helping or it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, to keep at it, because it takes time to get to know people and for people to get to know you. But usually the temptation is to give up within the first meeting or the first few gatherings or so, because it's awkward, right? With any new friendship, with any meeting new people, it's always awkward and uncomfortable at the start.
And I also know people have been hurt in relationship, right? And so they're scared to put themselves out there. They're scared to be vulnerable. I talk to many people that can't even, in their group of friends, nobody knows what's really going on inside of them, because they don't want to burden somebody, or they don't want to be vulnerable with what's going on for fear of whatever, being hurt or putting too much of a burden on someone. And so, like you said, take it slow. That's how we build relationship. we ask for connection and we take it slow. We don't just pour out our whole lives in the first get-go unless we really connect with someone, and that's awesome when that happens. But I remember when I would go on dates, and I'd get so nervous that I would just tell my whole life story in that one sitting, and they'd never call back. Thus, single. So, because I just get so nervous, and it was like, so my friend set me down, Dating 101, you don't tell everybody everything in the first sitting, you know? You want to give them, you want them looking forward to something more, right? Ask some questions about them. But sometimes we don't really know how to do it. Yeah. And for me, I didn't really know how to do it. I was just nervous, and I just thought, okay, here it is, take it or leave it. It didn't go so well for me. But all that to say that, you know, you will meet people that you really connect with. And I think I've been super blessed with that, but it's not easy. Yeah. You know, you're going to get hurt in relationship. You're also going to get healed in relationship. You know, there are just, that's what we call the rupture and repair of any relationship, whether it's marriage or friendship, right? Things happen, you repair it, you know, and it just helps you to grow deeper. But if we shut off from people and isolate, it's just going to be a very lonely journey. So I guess that would be my encouragement, regardless of what stage you're in life. And it's just different. I was going to say it might get a little harder as you get like in your, sorry, I hit the mic, in your like 60s, 70s. But I don't know if it does. I think it's just a different stage.
And maybe the difficulty and the challenge comes more with the mindset rather than the age.
Yeah. Mindset's a biggie.
Yeah. So I can be at 35 and I can be paralyzed by my mindset, whereas you in 60s, and even as you go into your 70s.
Let's not push it. But it's coming fast.
Like you would probably still be having the time of your life if like with the mindset that you have, right? That I need to go out and meet people. I need to surround myself with community.
Yeah. You can always have wheelchair races. I used to get my grandma to pop wheelies in her wheelchair.
That's really...
Yeah, it was fun. Actually, though, you know, also people that go before us, I think, you know, and we have that opportunity, you have it for your youth, you know, as people are watching our lives. Yeah. And I think that's really important to know. And I think I watched my grandmother, who was the most beautiful, I get a little choked up thinking about her. We were very, very close. But she was so classy. And as she aged, she was just beautiful. Right. You know, I think she became more beautiful as the wrinkles came and she just got older and older. But she always told me that age is just a mindset. Age is just a number. You're only as old as you feel. Right. And she just lived life to the fullest until she couldn't anymore. Right. And her body just gave out. Right. But even then, she had Alzheimer's, and she kind of faked her way through life. Who are you? I know you. You know, she would just, but she was just beautiful. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's good to have people that we look to. Yeah. I have a couple of elderly women that were in their 90s, and both of them have passed away now. 2 single women, just the most wonderful women that I will always remember. Both of their names are Betty and Betty. Betty 1, Betty 2. And and one just recently passed away in the last couple of months. But, you know, just people that have paved the way for me that I can look to, and what is it like to age and age well.
And I guess it sets a sense of anticipation as well, right? That like, oh, if life can be so good, like that's something that I can look forward to, and aging doesn't need to be scary.
Yeah. And people are looking to you, you know, big time. You're 35, you're single, you're confident, you're okay. Yeah. or you know, they can look to people that are married. We're just both single, so we don't. That's kind of where we're at. So.
Yeah, and I think as I was also growing up, like seeing you meeting other single women who are real about your challenges, but yet at the same time still able to find that fulfillment and that joy in life. I think that gave me a lot of hope to recognize that, okay, it's not just I'm not just trying to convince myself that like God is going to take care of me, but watching you guys live it out like gave me that hope that, hey, you know, it really is that if you are single, it's great. If you are married, it's great, right? And that's, if this is where God has placed you, it's gonna be great,
right?
But to see it tangibly and to see it right before my eyes, I think that was something that really gave me a lot of courage to, okay, I think I can step into my life and fully embrace whatever season it is that I'm in.
Yeah. I'm just kind of going off now in my mind on the whole singleness thing and wondering, kind of segue into that a bit and more of like, for you as a 35-year-old single woman, I think, I mean, knowing you, that you desire to be married, that you desire to have children. So what is that? We're getting vulnerable here. So what is that like for you now? I mean, I know that you've said, oh, I know myself, I'm confident and all that. But still, there's a very real part, keeping it real, of what is that like for you as a 35-year-old?
Like what are the various nuances in terms of how I see it at this point in time?
Well, no, I want to know more deeper. More deeper, is that a word? I want to know
deeper.
But more. Deeper. More deeper. Like, I don't know. Do you, okay, one thing is the social pressure, maybe the family pressure, the personal.
Okay, so thankfully, like my family doesn't give me any pressure. And that's something that even though I joke about it, like I'm tremendously thankful for, because it's, when I go back home, it's safe. You know, in that sense, I don't need to be like, okay, what's my mother or my father gonna say next? I know that they still have that hope that, you know, one day that I will get married. But more from the perspective of like, you know, then you have someone to come alongside with you.
Right.
But I think they've also seen that I'm slowly finding that joy and that purpose like regardless. And I think they are also being convinced that, you know, singleness is good if this is what like God is leading me into. This is I guess the people around me though, like where I'm at right now is more of getting sometimes a bit like, I won't say irked, but like hurt. Like okay, irked.
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 How do you spell that?
IRKED. Irked.
Is that a real word?
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
I like it. I mean, I know the word. I'm just saying.
It's a real word, right?
I think so.
Okay.
If not, it is now. I don't know if it's in the dictionary.
It's become like Sesame Street. The word of the day is...
We've got it. Where's Big Bird? We're digressing. Okay, carry on.
Cut out a lot.
I think they should keep it. We're funny.
I feel like when people who don't really know me or taken time to understand where I'm at, try to match me with people. And it's so like their whole premise is you need to get married. Like you're missing out.
You're not a complete person.
Yeah. Or sometimes just some passing remarks that I made. Like it's just like, okay. And they would drag any warm body single men, like, how about him?
Oh my goodness.
You know, and I think I appreciate their
warm body.
Yeah, really, it's the.
Carry on.
But I think I appreciate their thought. But to me, I guess why it irks me sometimes is the why is it that, you know, people also can't understand and see that what I have learned or what I have come to realize about life, right? About who we are individually. Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's, I don't really know where I was getting at with that, but like, I think there's one thing that really still kind of, I'm not frustrated by it, but when it does happen, I just like, oh, I just wish that, you know, y'all won't do that. Because sometimes, and I the sense that I get is that people just want to matchmake for the fun of it. Like, you know, it's entertaining. They may not say it, but it is. It's exciting for the onlooker.
And if it actually works out, they get all the credit.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I feel like I become a pawn in their little game. And I know that nobody ever starts off with the intention.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it plays out that way. So where I'm at right now is that I've told my good friends who have asked before, like, I will be willing to put myself out there. Because if you know me, like, I feel very uncomfortable in like, I've got someone to introduce to you, like, would you want to meet that person? But I think something that I've talked to God about was, like, you know, if, like what you said, if you want to surround yourself with friends, and if you believe genuinely in community, then you can't just sit back and be like, Lord, present the friends to me. and I'm just at home, right?
Yeah.
And I think likewise something that God's been slowly, like, walking me through is there also needs to be action on my part. Not that I am actively, like, hunting down people, but I think where I'm at and where I'm comfortable with at this point in time is, okay, if there are people, and I know that it's from friends who I trust, they know me, and they know who I am, what's the mission that God's given me, my personality, my likes, my dislikes, and they know that person.
Right.
I'm willing to.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, that's kind of where I think I have progressed.
It's good to know, because I have this guy that I'm just kidding. I don't. Hey, actually, though, that segues into dating apps.
Right.
Thoughts?
I tried it for 2 weeks and then I bailed.
You bailed. Okay.
It's not for me. I've come to learn, I think it's a very personal thing. Like, it's down to your personal preference. I don't think it's a right or a wrong thing, but it's whether I like to use it or not. I don't like to use it. Yeah. I didn't like
But you've tried it.
I've tried it.
Okay. Did you go on any dates out of it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know lots of people that found their partner, you know, right, on dating apps. And I personally have never, well, I tried it, not the paid version.
Yeah,
where you can really, where you can, so, you know, they match me with, like, these 70-year-old men. This is what's funny when you get older, is that, like, my mind does not match what I think of myself. I mean, my age, the number doesn't match what I think of myself.
Yeah.
So somebody will say, oh, Cathy, look, he's handsome. What about him? And I'm like, oh, it's like my grandfather. And they'll say, no, he's your age. That's happened. It's hilarious. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like so not in tune with my reality. So yeah, that's been my experience. So I'm not willing to date my grandfather. Welcome to my world. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how that came about, but dating apps, yes. So anyway, I think they serve a purpose. I think it's very hard. This is maybe a new podcast, but I think it's hard to meet people.
And I think for dating apps specifically, it boils down to your personality too. I found it very painful.
Very painful.
Yeah. Right. So for those of you who have not been on dating apps, I've only been on one. I thought as if I've been on it for forever, but it's only 2 weeks. And it was the
felt
free.
Forever.
Yeah, it did. It was the free version because I was too cheap.
I can pay for you if you'll pay for me.
It's not paying for me. That much.
This is what I've always told Charissa. Maybe you'll meet a nice young man and then he'll have a single father.
As long as it's not the grandfather.
Well, okay, carry on with your painful 2 weeks.
So what they require of you is to put up, do up your bio, your profile. And you need to put in valuable information because essentially all
promote
people,
yourself, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to put yourself out there. And the only way that people can kind of get to know you is through your profile. But just because of my own personality, I didn't want to I don't want to put stuff that actually matter to me on a profile. I don't want people to get to know me through a profile. And I won't want to get to know you through a profile either. So I think the first 2 weeks, so I put together some info, all true, but just not very helpful kind of information. So when my friend saw my profile, she's like, "What is this?" But I was like, this is as far as I am willing to go. And as I was just going through the different people that got matched to me, I felt I just wasn't I didn't like the whole experience because you're judging them based on their looks. Also because I don't trust the profile. So that's on me.
There's some scammers out there.
Yeah, but
sure.
it's also one of those things where you put yourself out there, you put your best foot forward, right? But how much of it is really true? I think that was where the skeptic in me kind of. So there was so much skepticism about it. I think I just didn't. I wasn't able to fully glean the best from that platform. So eventually I was talking to my mom about it and she's like, if you're so burdened by it, then don't do it. And I'm like, you are right. I will stop.
Wise words from mom.
Yeah. I asked her, okay, you help me choose. I don't know how to.
Did you do the whole... Did you ever choose anyone? Was anyone the choice? Did you ever text with anyone?
One person. So every day they will match 10 people with you.
Even on the free version. What is this?
Coffee meets bagel. Yeah, so they would match, right? And then you decide. That's a separate thing. But you choose as the lady, you choose who you would like to talk to, because then the guys would have already indicated whether they are interested or not. And yeah, I didn't like the idea that I was basing it purely on looks but that one
That's all
person,
you got though, right?
So it came to a point where I got very it's just sitting there. So I asked my mom, you help me choose. She didn't want that responsibility. But yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So where does someone young and single, if you have to put yourself out there, where do you put yourself out there if it's not a dating app? What would you tell people?
So the way that I've chosen to do it is through my friends.
Okay. Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Put up flyers. Single and searching. But content.
But content. And that's something where I've made it very clear, which is why it's only with very close friends that I've chosen.
Well, now you've shared with the world.
So do not recommend to me your brothers, your friends. Like, if I don't know you, like, no.
There you go.
But with my really trusted group of friends, that's how I had taken. That was a big step for me. In my mind, I've always romanticized how I would like meet my future husband. It would be very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the best way, right? All right.
But God knows best. So yeah, I think for me, what I've chosen to do is to go through the friends route.
Yeah.
I know friends who have been very intentional about attending social gatherings. No?
Speed dating. Have you done that?
No. No. I know of friends whose churches have organized like mixers.
Yeah.
And for them, it works.
Does your church have any single guys?
Yeah.
Oh, not many though, right? Yeah.
And I think we have also kind of realized that, or at least at that point in time, like those mixer kind of events, like don't really. Like,
you never know. I mean, you hear all kinds of stories.
It's true.
And, I have friends that have just met. So I was involved with a youth ministry called Young Life for many, many years and worked at tons of camps in the U.S. And so many of my friends met their husbands at Young Life camp. And I'm like, I have gone every year for 20 years. What is wrong with this picture? It's really fun. Or they were on staff here and then they went back to the U.S. and immediately found someone and got married. It's like, okay, I'm going back.
But like God's been great, in again coming back to that point where in the last few years, I've realized that if I were in a committed relationship at that point in time, there's so many things that I would have missed out on. Youth ministry would have been something that I would not have taken up. Like it would be crazy. And then the wonderful experiences and just the joy of knowing God in a very, very different way, like those would be things that I would not have had the privilege of being a part of. The work in Cambodia that we do, like I wouldn't have that kind of freedom to like, okay, bye, I'm going, like you need to. Someone once told me the moment that you get into a committed relationship, right, it's no longer just about what you want to do. Like
exactly, right.
It's two people, right, that now needs to be in consultation and it's something that you never really think about, but I think as like I started to kind of process through that, I realized, my life ain't that bad.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And, it reminds me, again, I'm not a theologian, but, it reminds me of where Paul says, he's talking about, okay, I don't know if it's the same, but being content in all things, right? That's one part. And then also that, when you're married, you have these things to look out for, but when you're single, basically you don't. I mean, that's a huge paraphrase, but, and I think it's so true. The things that singleness offers is just different than what the married life offers.
It's like whether you're going to eat chicken or beef. Like both are great. Wow. It's just a very, very different experience. Okay.
That's a very interesting illustration. Thanks for that. Are you the chicken or the beef? I don't know. Yeah. I remember just one more thing on this singleness thing is when I first came to Singapore 23 years ago, I was supposed to be here for 2 years. And I don't know what happened. So my boss at the time, when I decided, I went through a huge process of, trying to decide whether to stay when I was asked whether to stay or not. And he said to me, you realize, and I don't know where this came from him, but he said, you realize if you stay, you probably won't get married.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And I guess he meant because
it's hard.
It's just going to get harder. And I think at that point, right, that didn't even faze me because it wasn't And it actually never has been a priority for me. My priority has been to seek God and to be, there's no better place than to be where God wants me to be. And so I think, it's a choice, it's a decision that doesn't mean that if you seek God, you won't get married, but it just was, that was a higher calling for me than, I'm going to go back to the U.S. to Dallas, Texas, where there's bunches of single guys. I mean, I may not have gotten married then either, and it's not about that. It's about, I think, being content in all situations and being confident. And one thing I wanted to say, why? I think you were talking about, everybody else around you and, but what's wrong with me? And we've got to reframe our thinking because nothing's wrong with you. In fact, you're probably, and I've had guys tell me this, that you're so confident and independent, it kind of scares us. Now, I'm not sure that was a good thing. and actually, that's not so true. I have struggles in that area big time. But I think that it's not that anything's wrong with us. It's just a different stage of life. Or it's just where God has us at this moment. And in fact, I would say, people tell me I'm too picky. I've heard that my whole life. And I'm like, darn right, I'm picky, right? That was very Southern. We should be, right? Because to me, there's nothing worse than being in a bad marriage where you're not connecting. I would rather be single my whole life and have great friends.
Plus, it's a covenantal commitment that you're entering into. So I should be picky about it.
You should, and you should not settle. And you should wait. And so I guess just ending that portion with that, that it's so okay, and it's worth waiting for. And if marriage doesn't happen, then that's okay too. I will say, as a 60-year-old woman, I am so happy and so content. Now, do I want a companion to grow old with? That would be nice. But a dog will do. Maybe a little bit easier. Okay. Or horses.
In Singapore?
Well, no, I don't own them, but I work with horses.
I think one point about about contentment. I guess the contentment is not like us trying to force ourselves to think positive things only, right? It's about that realization that God truly knows what is best for us. And wherever it is that we are in, whatever situation it is that we are in, that is the best place that we can be with God. That's the best place we can be. And then out of that arises that contentment in knowing that God, He directs our life. And not so much of I will choose to be content because this is what a Christian should do, and perhaps maybe then God would look upon me with favor and grant me what it is that I want. Because I think many times, and I've personally kind of lived that way before, and what happens if we do is, when it doesn't come to pass, when what we are hoping for doesn't come to pass, you end up being sorely disappointed in God, which then, not only are you single, but you're you're feeling hopeless, and that one person that can anchor you and give you fulfillment in life, you are also then writing off, and then it's not a very nice place to be in.
But one last thing, maybe not last thing, because we may keep going, I don't know. But I was just thinking when you were saying that I've had friends that are, and very real, that they so long to be married, they so long to have children, and then they get older and older, and then they're 40, 45, 50. So the children are out of the books then, right? So, and then their frustration with God gets, and then they might walk away. and take control of their own life, because God's not giving them the desires, and He says He will. So, that's a tough thing. That's a very real thing, is, this longing for, especially for children, and not happening, and how do I be content when very real pain? Yeah, it's very painful, and that's just a very real thing that I think many women women are the ones having the children. So,
I guess different circumstances, but similar.
And I don't think there's any easy answer for that. There's not I don't want to over spiritualize that, because it's just painful, and that's where I would say, you just get support.
That's where your community comes.
Yeah, that's where the community, and no one can take that away and make it happen. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that, because I know that's very tough and very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about today just stages of life, and different circumstances that we go through, and hopefully for those watching it, this is helpful. I don't know. If there, how we can build on this more, but, we may have subsequent sessions to talk more about this as things come up. All right. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned.
Thank you.